Kuso.
Are there any, thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we can go on to action item number 2. And it is potential appointment of ghost principal. And Deb, I think has a motion.
Motion to approve the appointment of Amy Elizabeth as principal of Greedo Elementary.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstain? Motion carries. Welcome. So Robert's just going to say a few things.
And include 5 years as principal of urban school in Derby. He has experience as a principal at grade school in Waterbury. He has spent time as a literacy coach. I don't want to read here. I don't have to be here. As a reading program, he said experience literacy. And as a faculty coach, leadership needed in this area. Interest that stood out in the interview process. As a parent, students and your administrator. Comments that stood out in my reference back describe her as outstanding, professional, experience. You know, every hour, full time. Teacher would say tomorrow, have a vision, thoughtful and positive. To quickly and planning to be successful. I am so excited and excited for waiting. I know that I'm going to having training position, I will be scheduling the meeting with parents, staff, and administrators to that and her. I know that as they use the ability of the state to bring her board as I am thrilled to be bringing that argument.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone. And there are a lot of wonderful be part of that. Yeah, thank you. Very effective.
Thank you. Let's see, approval of minutes, Deb.
Motion to approve the April 18th regular board of education minutes.
Second.
Second by Michael. Are there any corrections or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose or abstain? Motion carries. Audience of citizens, if you'd like to address the board, if you don't mind going to the podium, I think the mic's on, right, Alex?
I just want to hear yourself. I feel like
Oh, okay. So it's not going to amplify for us. Okay, so speak loudly, please.
I've been to several of these meetings the past few months. Every meeting, I hear a little bit of a mixed messages. With no transparency. I do believe you want to save money where you can. Never would have expected it to be a big step for our children and staff. I'd like to shed some light on why I think that. A surplus to feed on to for the plan of moving to central office to Greedo. At my child's teacher has asked for that and I for cafeteria. She's not allowed to order. I just have to say that I'm here and let it. I witnessed it with my own eyes today, they were at the cafeteria. With the surplus money available, we should be fine like that. Even if it's up to the reasonable staff to do the job. Using the restroom myself in the cafeteria, I found that only one sink was working in the bathroom. So I had to go to the other sink. I just feel like it's not necessary. And it should be fixed. And correct me if I'm wrong, but yesterday, unexpected half day was for the out stream. As the teachers and staff were taught to use their abstract words and evacuate through window, you did during the emergency. Where are these drafts? Are they being ordered? Our teachers expected to participate out of their pocket. And in a dire emergency evacuation is needed. Are you aware that some of the windows do not work? They are going to use. I would just like answers to these questions. And the teacher forum, if you can have one. And Mr. Miller, you said it yourself at the forum, the meeting, approved bathrooms, and if the money doesn't come out of that, it will come out of the surplus. Why is the surplus not being spent responsibly on the necessary upkeep or renovations or school? It should be working order and fixing the current condition of roads needs to be before any renovation. It should be your first priority for the safety of our staff and children. If you give care to that. Lastly, the fifth graders moving to the basement. Mr. Miller also told me that to my base. At another meeting that was changed once again, I realized the choice was given to staff. And out of the choices given, it, feel like it's people are serving. The fire marshal approaching the central office would be the basement. I want to know why our children are moving down here and if it's safe. Is there approved by the fire marshal? Is there I will have the grader down there, so I don't know. In case of emergency. And we say your initial converts, but I want you to prove it. Because that's how I'm meeting.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Okay, hearing none, then we can move on to board correspondence and communication. Mike.
Okay. For board correspondence, we have nothing written, but we did have a parent meeting on 5/4. During that meeting, there's some good news. Well,
It's not you, Mike.
I don't take any offense. It's okay. During that meeting, I saw some positive things. This is a follow-up meeting. This was a second meeting to address parent concerns. The first meeting had about 45 to 50 people. The second meeting had 20. So maybe some of the answers that we provided, satisfied some of the parents who had concerns. But a lot of the concerns, and some of them were large concerns, some of them were just observations. So concern over baseball field at the middle school. Crowded SBAC testing location, employee service status, curriculum right to read initiative, iReady homework situation, and the big one was central office move to goes. In there, they were concerned about fifth grade teachers moving to the basement. That initially they weren't, then they were. The request came from the fifth grade teachers. Is the library moving? It was, then it wasn't. It's currently not. Budgetary concerns, how are we paying for it? And why do we need to do it now versus years from now? We addressed, and is this common to put central office in a school? And the answer is yes, it is for budgetary concerns and resource management. So that was kind of the update.
Thank you so much. Special education report, Dr. P. Did we have this in our?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't see it.
So she's going to give a high-level just overview and then open up to questions that you may have.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Yes, I do.
I think I had a pretty successful first year. I'm doing I'm here in building families and students and our staff. So this year, one of the things that we did do is establish a special education task force, which has representatives from every domain, including related services from each of our buildings. And this is supporting us to kind of build norms to have consistency across programming, as well as, the process for each piece.
No, I mean, I wanted to, but I didn't hear you said you formed a what?
Special education task.
Task force, and that's got teachers, staff, Okay, thank you. I didn't hear the task part. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
And this is to really build some consistency across the county of delivering teams and making sure this is consistency comes from the school. So we will be doing some work on building kind of a manual for teachers and for staff over the next year. One thing to know is identification rate have increased, will continue to increase. This is also not uncommon, especially for the state. So the state of Connecticut just reached 16% of identification rate. So it is growing across the state. So we are seeing that trend here in Oxford. But our teams are working hard to have comprehensive evaluation and have been utilizing the new disciplinary evaluation report, which we call the NER, for suspected learning disabilities. So this is something that changed with the implementation of the new SENS program. So we have done a lot of training on how to utilize this as we await the new guidelines from the staffing levels have also increased across the district, but we are primarily with paraprofessional supports, and they are integral to building independence for our students. But we are working consistently with special education teams and families to develop plans that include ways to fade additional supports to build that independence, as well as maximize student outcomes. So through data collection and student performance, we have already seen a shift in the ways that we're recommending supports and services, so that the proper levels for each of the students in our programs. So we did increase our total number of students currently. Well, actually, as I wrote the report a week and a half ago, of 290 identified students. That is a 2.8% increase since our October 1. And we do have 28 pending referrals currently. We did exit 12 students, and 12 students did move out of the district over the course of the year. So just an update on our Connecticut Special Education Data System, we call it CT-SENS. It is the new program that has been implemented by the state of Connecticut. So everyone in the state is implementing IEPs using this program. So with onboarding of a new system, you know, issues are expected. At times, there were a lot more issues than at other times, but we're working through it. We did develop a communication structure so that when issues arise and there's difficulties, there is a way and hierarchy to reach out for support. So we have building-based experts that were trained over the summer, and then we have our staff here at central office that support. And then if there's ever any issues finalizing documentation, we're making sure that we're talking and communicating with parents and letting them know the reasons why. So by the end of the school year, all the IEPs will be in the new system, so we're getting very close to that. And then there's continued ongoing trainings that we encourage our staff to attend to learn just different components, because there's different things for different grade levels that are important. So we provide that opportunity for all of us. When looking at our specialized programs, we have the 4 programs, which is our comprehensive learning program at Quaker Farms, which services students K through about 4th or 5th grade, and then our program at the middle school, as well as Connections at the high school and our CPP program. So our 2 programs that service the elementary and the middle school had quite a few staffing changes this year. So there was a little bit of staff movement mid-year. So we did some hiring and some moving around of staff from program to program, which was a little unique, but we were able to work through that, and they're actually building some really strong programming right now. We did look at a specialized program for those students called Teach Town. Ultimately, we decided it was not a good fit for our students, so we are looking at their system. And we may look at Teach Town again. Actually, it was presented to me if we worked in conjunction with another district for some cost sharing and to really kind of support students. So we might look at it again in the future, depending on our students.
So Megan, is Teach Town an outplacement, or it's a program that you bring into the school?
It's a program that you bring into a school. It's a curriculum that aligns to Common Core state standards, but really supports students that are on a much lower instructional level than their grade level.
Okay, because there is a program in the Connections. That's not that program though, is it? Okay, thank you.
So I will talk to that too. And also for the OMS Comprehensive Learning Program, we did for next year approve a program that would allow a class with peer models, so like our unified class at the high school, to support students with some of their life skills, planning, engaging, and those types of skills. So they'll have model peers in the classroom at the middle school level. And then that will just, strengthen the program at the high school as well. Connection, we did make that major change at the beginning of the year by increasing one teacher. And there hasn't been any impact to that program. Are still providing high quality education in the alternative setting, and really adjusting. What we really focused on this year is having a streamlined referral system to figure out where student services were best met. And then for community exploration, they are doing a lot of work in the community. We did have a little bit of pickup with transportation, but they have found ways to work around that. So they have the skills to talk with the bus company when they need transportation. So they've been building some other skills that kind of came from that issue, which was great to see. We did implement the new life-centered education transition curriculum. It's kind of in its infancy, so all of the goals and objectives for students are now aligned to that program. So now we'll start being able to gather more data using the program now that we have those aligned goals and objectives. And then just some follow-ups for some of the things that were at the beginning of the report at the beginning of the year. So CT says it's fully up and running in the district. And we will continue to work on finding some programs to support our other learners and our specialized programs. So we did develop the special education task force, and we have met 3 times, and we continue to build that. In the coming year, I would like to build a paraprofessional task force along with this one to help support our paraprofessionals in the district. So that will be our plan for next year, as well as a family. I would like to implement as well, having a family task force. Paraprofessionals were trained this year, the first 2 modules of the effective high leverage practices for paraeducators. They participated in the collaboration and assessment modules. They also received PD and child development, executive functioning, behavior intervention plans specifically for our students, data collection, CPR, thanks to Pam, and autism and transition. We didn't get to looking at investigating individual math programs, but it is something to do next year. And we continue to build our community partners. One of the other big highlights too is we haven't fully defined what standalone courses look like at the middle school and high school because it really is student dependent and their needs. But we were able to better place students in courses that support their individual needs and supported more inclusive practices throughout the district. So next year, we have decreased the amount of needed standalone classes at the middle school. And the high school has begun to offer co-taught classes in math and English for next year. And then, the question that does come up a lot about student behaviors, we have seen an increase in student behaviors, but we are working to define and fine-tune what our support looks like district-wide, and have made some shifts in how we provide supports by analyzing data specific to students to really target areas. That's all of it and supplement.
Yeah, great job.
Any questions?
No, thank you. It was a very comprehensive report. But any questions for
Yeah.
Megan? Go.
Good question. So would you say as maybe a month or so ago, is the special ed system the same? Any, honestly, improvements or going backwards from the state?
I would say from C to Jesus.
That's not good.
So sometimes there's quite a few issues that happen, and then this week there weren't as many issues happened. So it really is in blocks. And sometimes when certain things get fixed, other things happen.
So is there a way for you to say, we're losing 20% of our time because the state is screwing up?
I would say the teachers are putting in a lot more time with the system than they have.
You asked about the system, right? CT says. Okay.
And the experiences that we've had here with CT says, is not unique. This is the experience that every school district in
Oh, yeah.
Connecticut has experience with.
Yeah,
the
so they
system.
can't get anything right.
But it sounds like you're over the panic. Or sometimes maybe there's spikes.
Your words, your words.
Say, people are more comfortable using it now that they're using it now and pretty much on a daily basis. The hard thing is you can't predict what the issue is going to be. Because sometimes they may be fixed, but they're not fixed.
Right.
Sometimes you're kind of working in a different way. Sometimes I'm kind of tech support because I can see things a little bit differently. So it really is dependent on each individual IEP and what is happening to.
Great.
So I can't give a very clear answer, but I will say, for the most part, there's at least a couple of issues per IEP. happening.
Okay, any other questions for Megan? No, if not, thank you so much for giving this information. Really appreciate it, Megan.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we have, next action item is central office renovations and relocation plans. What? Are we do? Okay, and then we'll have discussion. Okay.
So motion to allocate the use of $80,000 for the central office relocation out of the 2022-2023 operating budget.
Second.
Discussion.
Okay, so I guess this is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
about the process.
I just wanted to kind of talk about the evolution of this, because not everyone's in the facility subcommittee or the finance subcommittee. This request or this movement to make this happen originated from the facility subcommittee. We saw a large number, month over month, year over year, we see the cost that impacts the district from our operating budget that goes to maintaining this building. And so we see that cost and it's not decreasing and the numbers keep growing. And we look at how much we're spending on a building that we wanted to get out of. We had the middle school built to get out of this building. Yeah, we're still in this building and we're supporting it, even though we're sharing it across the town. Now you could say, well, town should pay their fair share of this, that. Irregardless, this was never meant to be a long-term solution. It was meant to be a Band-Aid, meant to maybe save a little money as we got out of the Tommy K lease to something to hold us. And we stayed here for a few years, but we wanted to look at other options of how we could stabilize the expense or lower it as much as possible so we could keep the money in the operating budget to support our existing buildings that need every dollar we can give to support the kids. So that's where it originated from. Dr. Miller and his team, they went and they got us quotes, they presented options. They just did what we asked them to do. Give us options, give us choices. So they did. And the facility subcommittee liked the option best of going in a school that we're already paying for, that we're already maintaining. And the school that made the most sense was GOES. We've gone through the process of working with the fire marshal. He gives us recommendations. We talk to, whether it's the police or we work with George Temple, all the major stakeholders in town and around town that we need to, and we formed a committee of teachers. We, worked with the finance subcommittee as well. I'm on both subcommittees, but both subcommittees have to be involved because it involves facilities and involves money. And we look at our budget year over year. Our needs are greater than 3% that we get year over year. We have a greater need than that, and we need to keep every dollar we can and focus it on the right areas. So after the committees, the subcommittees meeting, everything, and we listen to the parent concerns, and we do listen and we do hear, and we do feel for them, and for the concerns that they have, we try to address. But we also have the big picture that we have to look at, and we have to be able to pay for the services. We have to be able to pay for the salaries. All of these things keep hitting us, and we still have to meet a budget that could absorb whatever we get thrown our way. Whether it's 10 kids moving a district that needs special needs, we have to provide it. And we have to find a way to be creative with our funds while also doing what's best for kids. So I'm not going to go into every detail for every step along the way of who's going where and what, It was carefully planned and orchestrated. We've gone through a lot of quotes to come together and find the most cost-effective way to make this happen. We're utilizing staff in district to help offset some of the cost and share some of the expense gets paid to some of our existing employees who could surely use it and are maybe appreciate the extra work. Every bit of this is just to help kids. And if it's viewed out of that context, understand that we're not compensated. We don't make money if we're over or under budget. But if we're over budget, things have to get cut. We're the most expensive line item for the town. There's high scrutiny on what we do. Everything has to be buttoned up and above water, and it's transparent. We do not want to be in the deficit, and we do not want to have to make harder cuts, because there are harder cuts that can be made, and we're trying to avoid that as much as possible.
And I think from the, thank you. I think from the facilities, was there a number or ballpark over the next couple of years, what the savings?
Joe gave that to me.
Oh,
It's $600,000 is estimated over a 5-year period of time for the amount of cost to maintain and do the repairs needed that are piling up if we were to stay in this space.
So the cost to do the repairs, to do the moving itself,
I
Will
was
pay for
referring to if we
itself.
stayed here.
will pay for itself in 1 year.
okay.
So, and we will be taking those expenses out of this current operating budget. It will not impact any of our budget for school resources for staff next year. In fact, the savings that we get will help offset some of the reductions that we're getting from the town through our budget reduction that was forced upon us from the town level.
Right.
This is going to help.
Okay. Sure. Any further discussion? Deb?
So I just wanted to be clear that taking this money out of the surplus is in no way currently affecting how we are providing supply.
That's correct. And the notion that we are in a budget freeze, we have not been a budget freeze in a single moment this entire fiscal school year. In fact, our ability to change our medical carrier and our practice of, we had several staff members that left and hiring more inexperienced teachers that were qualified, but at a lower salary scale, truly benefited us for this academic school year. And that we're able to put us in a much better fiscal position next year, but gives us some resources this year to spend for these renovations. So this does not impact next year's budget whatsoever. It only helps us moving forward.
You good? Nicole?
So if there's teachers or staff who have resources that they need.
Right.
They can still get them.
Absolutely. The notion, once again, that we're in a budget freeze doesn't exist. There was a question about the ICE this morning that came to my desk, and I called the principal, and the principal said, yes, the nurse ran out of her budget. She expanded it. And I said, have you asked for this to go through? And he said, no, I've not asked you yet. So I said,
Simple line item change.
right. I said, just put it forward. We're not going to not purchase supplies for the nurse office. We don't have a request from teachers that we haven't supported. We purchased the supplies that we need across the board. So I gave it to our purchasing agent this morning, and I said, put this through and process this as soon as possible. There shouldn't be any concerns out there that we're not providing the supports and the resources that we need in our schools. It doesn't exist. And it's upon the school principals to advocate for their needs. So for example, once again, if that budget line is 0, then speak to me and we can make it happen.
Any further discussion?
So what we're saying is that was a process breakdown at the school. It didn't necessarily have to make it out into public, be this big thing.
That's
We
correct.
don't have ice for kids that hurt themselves.
No,
That was a
the
failure.
first time I heard about it this morning, within half an hour of me hearing about the problem,
Yeah.
we had it resolved. And when this request was originally generated back in April and given to the principal, it could have been resolved back then.
Okay, anything further? Yep.
The location where the kids will be, where the classrooms will now be,
Yeah.
that was with the input of the committee that was put together.
That's correct. And to address the fire marshal question that came in earlier. The reason why the fire marshal did not want central office downstairs is because by us moving downstairs, we were actually advocating to build a wall separating the hallway and the school from central office. In doing so, we would have eliminated 4 exit doors out of the building, which would have been emergency exits for students out of the school. So the fire marshal did not want us to do that. Moving classrooms down there does not impact the exit doors remain as they are. And where we'd be going into the main part of the building, there'd be crash doors, so it'd still be emergency exits out. So there's no impact. The fire marshal is looking at segregating the building as a means of concern from a fire exit perspective, but moving classrooms out there doesn't impact the fire exit for students at all. Did that address your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Think further? All right, all those in favor,
Aye.
oppose, or abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Dr. Miller. I think this is you, Dr. Miller, retirement incentive package.
So every couple of years, the school district should look at the stakeholder groups and ask the critical question, is there enough mass in a stakeholder group that would warrant giving an incentive package to promote and encourage retirement? The idea of a retirement package, if you have staff that leave and they're at the tops or near the top of the salary scale, when you leave and you hire a new,
1 second.
Yeah.
I think we skipped a motion. There were 2 motions under central.
there was,
There were 2 motions?
Yeah.
What was the second one?
On the bid
the
process.
bid.
I just thought they were tied together.
Okay, you could do that then.
You could do it now, or you could wait until the finance committee if you want.
Let me just flush it out. There's a bit of bid process.
Right, are you okay? You can pick up where you left
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that second
I
motion.
was gonna do it during finance.
Oh,
so
okay.
whatever.
You're screwing us up, Mike.
No,
Let's do it now then. That's fine.
okay. Motion to suspend the bid process for the months of May and June based upon the receipt of competitive quotes.
Second.
Any discussion on that? So would,
Can you just explain what that
I'll,
looks like?
I'll explain that. So the bid, there's a board of ed policy that requires that we go out to competitive RFP. We float a bid. Typically for facility type work, you'll have a walkthrough. You give a vendor 2 or 3 weeks to visit, build their bid and get back the results. Doing so, now that we're into May, we're looking to begin this work on June 14th. There's not enough time to do traditional RFP. And as we built this proposal, we actually went out and spoke to multiple vendors. I'm talking more than 3 vendors for site work, more than 3 vendors for contracting, all the different trades that we're looking at. So we already have gone through the competitive process. So rather than floating RFP, we're recommending that for the month of May and June, in order to expedite some of these purchases that we need to do for both the relocation and other end of the year purchases, that we suspend the bidding process and only use competitive quotes during that period
and
of time.
again, just to make that clear, that it doesn't mean that you're not getting quotes for the work.
We're getting a minimum of 2 to 4 quotes from various vendors for each of the projects. And this is nothing that's dissimilar from the past. Previous years, we've asked you to suspend in the same way at this period of time. It just expedites the business process at this time of the year where there's not enough time to go through a traditional RFP process.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor,
Aye.
oppose, or abstain? Second motion carries. No.
Thank you.
So now we're back to the retirement.
Retirement.
center.
So as a staff member leaves, if they are in step 16 on the master step or the 6-year step on the teacher scale, or they've been a paraprofessional for 18 years on the para scale, they're coming in at step 1. So there is a salary differential between the person leaving and the person coming in. Same thing for a teacher. Typically, you're hiring a teacher or a certified staff member. That's 1 to 5 year experience. So you're looking at probably a $30,000 to $35,000 savings from a person leaving and a person coming in. Those budget savings helps the budget for that fiscal year, but also lowers the base for the next year. And that's what happened this past year. We had enough staff members that left that we created a nice budgetary decrease in the operating year, which actually helped lower the increase for next year's request. So when you took a look at the number of staff members that might be interested in retiring, we looked at teachers, we looked at paraprofessionals, we looked at secretaries. And we floated a potential retirement package out to the staff. And we said, if this was presented as an option to you, would you take this as an option and would you want to retire in June? The options were threefold for the two different groups. So we had teachers. We said, well, we'll pay you as an individual health insurance for 1 year, not for a family plan, but individual. Or we'll give you $10,000 upfront year one, or we'll give you $20,000 over a 4-year period of time. We'll split it over 4 years evenly. That allows you to not have as big of an increase in payment year one. It spreads out over time. The second option went to paraprofessionals and it went to secretaries, and that was 1 year of insurance for an individual, or $7,500 for cash payout for year one, or $15,000 spread out over 4 years. So we floated that out to the staff, and we actually got 9 teachers that said that they'd be interested in taking a retirement package now. And we had a number of paraprofessionals. We discounted a couple of paraprofessionals that put in a request because they were just hired last year, and this year we felt like their tenure here wasn't long enough to qualify for a retirement package. So it came to 9 teachers and it came to 4 paraprofessionals. And that actually is a higher interest than we had when we did a retirement package 2 years ago. Sometimes it's just a matter of the right package being offered. Sometimes it's the right matter of this is the time. You have more people at this age. So we're recommending that we approve this retirement package tonight. We would send an email to all staff tomorrow, letting them know this is now the official package the Board of Education has approved. Please sign up by, say, Monday or Tuesday next week, so that we're able to then process their retirement. If it's over a 4-year package, then we'll set the funds up for that. And then we can begin the hiring process. Then for those that are replacing, it allows us to get a jump start on the replacements for next year.
Any more questions about the retirement package? No, do you want to do a motion, Deb? Just to
Motion to
approve.
the, retirement incentive package as presented.
Second.
Second by Steve. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Oppose or abstain? Motion carries. Healthy food certification.
Okay, this is the traditional annual motion. There are actually 2 motions that need to be actually both in board docs. It's a hefty thing to read, but we participate in the National Food Service Program, and this is required for us to participate in that program. So
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't have to. I was gonna pick on someone else. Okay, so this is the one where it starts with pursuant.
Yeah.
Okay.
General statute, section 10-215F. The Oxford Public School Board of Education certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in school under its jurisdiction and not exempt from Connecticut nutrition standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutritional standards during the period of July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or non-school organizations in the group.
Nice job. Could you repeat that? Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mike. Any discussion or any further explanation needed for that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Mike, you want to read the next one? Do you have it up in?
Yeah, I have it up. Oxford Public Schools Board of Education will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards, provided that the following conditions are met. 1, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And 3, the food items are not sold from a vending machine or a school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is a period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be in the same place as the food sales.
All right, second,
Second.
Deb, second that. Any further explanation?
No.
Fine. All those in favor? Opposed or abstain? Motion certification carries. Okay. Thank you, guys. Nice job reading. We'll look at your iReady report and see. Report of the superintendent, Dr. Miller.
I'm just going to be rather quick because I feel we went over a lot of stuff just a few minutes
Yeah.
ago. But just to give you an update, yesterday we had our early dismissal, and I thank the board for approving this final early release for our staff. It was very successful. We did ALICE security training with all of our staff in all 4 schools, followed by hands-on drills. An email did go out to the principals this morning, reminding them to do follow-up with their staff for follow-up any concerns that staff might have and resources that they might need, so that we can provide that report to Mike D'Agostino next week with a deadline. So if there's any supplies that are needed, we heard a request come in this evening about what teachers might need. We're not asking teachers to purchase these types of supplies out of their own pocket. If there's something that they need specifically for their classroom, give it to the principal, and well, as a district collected and place those orders for what we need for the schools. But that's not to stop. Not to say that Johnny Nissan in the past couple of years could have also asked for the same resources as well. But we are proactive now and asking the principals to gather these resource requests from the schools and from their staff.
Great, thank you. I have nothing to report at this time, so we can go to subcommittees. Joe is not here for facilities, and basically it was going to be the last meeting that you had was what Mike already discussed as far as the move.
Vic, do you have anything to add?
Not at this time. He just got. Okay, so facilities, Deb, curriculum.
We had a meeting on Monday, very lengthy meeting. We talked about the curriculum status report for Oxford Middle School and Oxford High School. We received some information about some of the summer work that's needed at Grado, I think, at Oxford Middle School. We had some good dialogue about what we have, what we don't have, what we need to work on. So I think that we had some candid discussions during that meeting. We also talked about the changes or the discussion of the OHS internship and capstone change. Mr. Hibbert had some idea which would allow the kids to do their internships, and it was just be, I believe, if I remember correctly, it'd just be the seniors this year, and it ties into our strategic operating plan. And we will also look to have it start earlier in the student's career. The other item was a lot of time talking about this curriculum writing. We had talked about a proposal to have a company come in and help us write curriculum, help the staff with curriculum, help understand what we have and we don't have. We're still vetting through some stuff. We haven't decided what we're going to do yet. But that's still an ongoing discussion, and we'll work on that.
Yeah, and I had a meeting this afternoon with that consultant to talk about the conversations and more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and we meet again on the 22nd, where Great Oak Elementary and Quaker Farms come in and present their curriculum update, as well as the reading program. Will be coming in to discuss that and bring it back to the board for our next meeting. We talked about summer learning packages. We asked out of the committee to get copies of what is planned for the students, so we don't have the summer slides. So we got copies of the draft packets, and we'll continue to work on that, and there will be summer packets that will this year. That's what it. So
That's a lot. But thank you. It was a lot. Policy, anything on policy?
Yes, so we met on April 20th and we're presenting for a first read tonight, policy regarding school activity funds. Basically, this codifies that, school funds and funds of school organizations shall remain in the name of the respective schools and organizations. It also sets the expectation that collected funds are the responsibility of the assigned administrator and should be remitted to the administrator's office at the close of each school day. We basically, we don't want a situation where a teacher is collecting money and the money's in the desk at the end of the day. So it should be in the hands of the school administrator. Also, there's a strong preference if there's a way that we could use an online platform instead of actually collecting cash. That's what we would prefer. And right now we have the platform of My School Bucks, and we're going to try to use that more often. So this is just a first read. If you guys can take a look at the policy and let me know if you have any questions. Also, along with the policy is the regulation, but no action is required of the full board for the regulation.
And the regulation is dealing with the fundraising activities.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So the first is the 3453, right? And then the regulation. So if you approve the 3453, then the regulations are embedded in that.
The regulations go to different policies. So you've got the policy, which is the school activity. That's what's up for the first read.
Right.
We modified the regulations to fundraising. Now, regulations don't need to come back to the board, but we did want to share with the board what we made.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Nicole, can I ask something?
Yeah.
Are there changes from this than from what our original board policy was, or is this?
It's largely the same. There are a few tweaks here and there.
Yeah. The fundamental change in it was not having the money sitting in a desk drawer or a classroom beyond just that day that's been collected. That it has to be returned in that day. And then the regulations to the fundraising actually shifts it from collecting cash to preferably online payment where at all possible.
That'd be great. Okay, thanks, Nicole.
Yeah.
Finance, I think you've already.
I only have one thing, just the budget referendum vote is on May 11th at Quaker Farm School from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Please vote. Budgets really don't go up. They go down if we don't get it approved. It might go lower, and we really can't afford that for what we're trying to do for kids. So please get out and vote.
And Mike, to that point, I've heard people ask if the capital budget goes down and the operating budget goes down, would that stop us moving our central office? And in fact, if those budgets do go down, we would need to dig into those resources even further by moving. It gives us additional resources. For next
And that
year.
would only hurt the future budgets.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Deb, anything with PTO? Okay. All right, at this point, I believe we are going into executive session to discuss leave of absence and an MOU regarding collective bargaining unit. What?
We need to go in and out. So motion to go
Wait,
into
hold-
executive
yeah.
session to invite in Dr. Miller.
Right.
Discuss the leave of absence.
Oh, I see what you're saying. We have to go
Second.
in and out with both of
Both
those.
the two
Okay, I
two different matters
misunderstood that.
completely.
All right, so all those in favor, this is just for A, leave of absence request.
Aye.
Opposed or abstain? Okay, so we're going into executive session. If you want us to move, we can move, or